up, everybody? We're here today. I'm Micah, and that's Chris.
Oh, there you go.
So we're just here to have a conversation, and we've been doing this podcast and this conversation for a little bit. So, Chris, obviously we're in quarantine. We're on lockdown. Gavin Newsom just came out, talked about we can't leave our houses. So, how's it going? You getting some workouts in or what?
Yeah. You can see by the setup here, I'm well equipped, but no, I mean, yeah, he put it out. Today's Friday, so yesterday afternoon he put out the official statement that California is on this kind of quarantine mode, and still can't find any toilet paper, so there's that.
I found toilet paper today, actually.
I went to where you suggested, and two people before me bought the last one. So
for real though, when I left Walgreens, I felt like I had the coronavirus on my clothes. I really did.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the way it works or not. I don't think it works, but I'm pretty sure it's on my clothes. I had to get changed, but yeah. But I did get some toilet paper. That's cool. And there's a lot of good things coming out of this coronavirus stuff. I mean, I think it's pretty legit. I want to share this with you really quick. I saw something that I feel like might be very positive. I think it is anyway, and so I wanted to share it with you. And so BurgerKing just announced that from now on, all their staff members have to actually wash their hands. So I think that's great. That's according to the Babylon Bee. So I know it's true.
It's a legit source. It's legit. It's like the next step from Snopes.
It's CNN. It's MSNBC. It's right there.
It's right there.
I'm so thankful because like the Whopper was always my favorite when I was a kid. And so I'm so glad now I can actually eat it because without fear of the coronavirus. Of course,
I think I'm kind of disappointed that they wash their hands now because I felt the unwashed hands added, adds that extra flavor. I think the unwashed hands actually helped build my immune system as a kid. So I think actually we're gonna have a generation of weak immune children because this extreme hand washing and sanitizing.
That you have a good point, and not to mention it might change the flavor a little bit of that Whopper. I'm not sure. But no, with all seriousness,
it is. I like it because they put mayonnaise in it. That was my deal. I'm a mayonnaise guy, so the mayonnaise made it cover any other taste that I think it's good. I think it's good. It's good.
Great. They're washing their hands. It's awesome. I'm super proud of that. No, I mean people are getting.
I'm glad to see that you're up to date with the breaking news.
I really am. Babylon Bee keeps me updated. It's my source. Some people they watch Fox News or Drudge Report. They check it out. For me, I trust the folks at Babylon Bee. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. I've been up to.
I feel like they have a good thing going on.
I'm gonna sign up for a subscription so that way I can be as up to date.
Oh no, it's awesome! I got the T-shirt and everything, bro. I wear it.
You're sponsored. You're sponsored. I'm glad. We're supposed to split that check, but okay.
So,
coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, so like the news media is getting kind of crazy. They're calling Donald Trump a racist, but then again, that's not new. They've always called him a racist. I don't know. Do you think he's a racist? I mean, just really though. Do you really think he's a racist?
No. I don't think he's a racist. I mean,
this is what I think.
I'm a racist, for a number of reasons. But anyway, go ahead.
This is what I think. I think that Donald Trump. First of all, we're gonna get to the whole like calling this coronavirus. He keeps calling it the Chinese flu or the Chinese virus. Whatever.
Oh, really?
And that's why they're calling him like racist, right? They're saying, "Oh, it's so racist," But here's the deal. Like, first of all, to call it a Chinese virus, we'll talk about that in a second. But I mean, I don't really think that's racist in and of itself. But no. I don't think Donald Trump's a racist. If they keep on, just hammering away at this guy, but the way I see it is like, like I had a grandfather who was white, right? So I'm mixed, half black, half
Yeah.
white, and he was racist. But I see it like like he's like that kind of like old generation racist, not like racist in that like they hate minorities, but just that like they're kind of biased against minorities somewhat. So I don't really see it as Donald Trump racist. I think he's just like a part of that generation that they just say what they want, and they don't
My
really care what people think.
no,
And whatever.
but I don't. But even now, I don't think it's with the intention of being racist. I mean,
Right? Yeah.
my dad's from the old school. He grew up in the Bronx, New York. I mean, dude, 60s, 70s. Like he was all there. And if somebody was black, you would say, hey, that black guy or black woman. It wasn't any type of like race or if they were Chinese. You know what I mean? Like there's that Chinese guy. If you're even I'm Puerto Rican, so it's like that Puerto Rican guy. It wasn't. I don't think it's ever been done out of like this hardcore like man, like I hate this. Yeah, I think racism really. I mean, without getting bigger discussion, I mean, there's no hate behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's what your vocabulary, how you talk, your references, to being PC nowadays. That's the big thing. Being politically correct. Again, that's a discussion that is for maybe another podcast. But there's no hate behind statements. It's just calling it what it's kind of been called for. I mean, how long now? Only all over the past maybe 20, 20 years, we've really gotten real sensitive to where, oh, wait a minute, like
Yeah.
you can't call them an Indian. You got to call them Native American. You can't call them black. They're African American. You can't call him Mexican. They're Mexican American.
Yeah.
Um, so I again, there's people out there who do it like with hate behind it, but it just sometimes you call it what you call it.
Yeah, and I think it's just another attempt. Like we, as a culture, I feel like we desperately want something to fight against as a culture. Like
Yeah,
we desperately want to see racism, homophobia. We want to see xenophobia. We want to see this in our culture, and it's like we want a fight for our generation. But I was just studying some of the history of racism in America, and it's like, man, these like black people, like we went through some horrible things, and to say that like racists today, which of course there's racism today, we get it, right? But it's nowhere close to what it
yeah,
used to be. And I think that a lot of times Donald Trump, like him just being who he is, he just hacks off a lot of people, and
yeah.
he's trying to tiptoe around not trying to be called a racist. Sometimes like what he like does is like, it's just like people misinterpret it and the news are
I
looking for it
yeah.
so much. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you look, I mean, just looking stuff up, but prejudice, discrimination, directed against someone of a different race based on the beliefs that one's own race is superior. So
Yeah.
I don't get the tone from Donald Trump that he believes that the white race is superior. I've never gotten that tone from him, despite hearing both sides of the aisle. There's just not that kind of the unction behind it to where he says it in such a way that he is saying that, well, these more ignorant, less educated, uh, lower class, let's say deplorables. One politician put deplorables.
Yeah,
It's never been put that way. I mean, growing up in New York City, which does have racism in its areas, but it's one of the, not the most, but one of the most diverse cities in the United States. So I just you can't. Again, we can spend kind of quite a bit on is Trump racist or not, but no, I don't think he's racist at all. I think just that generation,
yeah,
which is my dad's generation, older, just simply that's how they identified certain groups of people. But there was no hate or kind of derogatory
yeah.
attitude towards it. So
No, I agree. I agree, and that's why so they're calling him a racist because he keeps calling this thing the Chinese virus. But again, I think this is coming from a place where he's kind of been on the defensive because it seems like he's just recently, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like just recently he's been calling it the Chinese virus. And so I wonder if that's because China was trying to say that it started in America. I wonder if he's like on the defensive end.
That's an extremely good point. I mean, if we look at, and I recently watching a Vox documentary on the corona, but also other diseases that's come out of China. I mean, we had SARS. We had was the bird flu came out of China?
I think so. I don't really remember. I just remember.
So we've had a number of major. Let's talk about SARS and corona. Ones that we know the most. That was kind of recent. Those had been verified to come out of China. And not only out of China, just out of nowhere, but China right now is probably stopped, but they allow these wet markets. I don't know if you heard about these wet markets in China. Yeah. They're all over the world, so China's the only place to have them, but China allows these wet markets that are basically just giant marketplaces that it's a mix of different animals, and Chinese law is different to where they will allow the raising and selling of like exotic animals that you don't see. I mean, we're talking beyond chickens or ducks or cow. We're talking some real exotic animals, and bats are a big thing. This is where where corona is also connected to this is bats. So China allows these wet markets to take place, and in this place, we're talking all these exotic animals that in nature would never cross paths. On top of that, human element. If you look at any video or any pictures of the wet markets, they're not exactly, let's say, FDA approved or whatever. Kind of they're just kind of a free for all. This kind of open market. And they're literally cutting meat on the street. Some of them. But anyway, and these are the places that these diseases birth from because they come from animals, cross-contaminated with other animals, and then the human element comes in. So, and it's a whole big thing, but we've had some of the major diseases over the past decade or so come from China, and it seems like it is not going to stop because of these conditions they allow. So going back to the question I had, Trump calling it a Chinese virus. I think maybe behind that is because China's trying to project that it didn't come from us, but he's making it real clear you guys started this.
Yeah.
Even withhold information to a little bit, some are saying that they maybe knew for a while and didn't share it to the rest of the public.
Yeah. And I mean, so I think you make a lot of good points, but to the point of, why he's calling it. So it probably is a response, to the Chinese government, making the claim. And I don't know if it was the official Chinese government, but I did see that one of their main diplomats was trying to say that it came from U.S. troops or something like this. And that could be on the defensive, but
I think it is. I think it is.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is that we know it did originate. Like the main cases started in China, so it's not saying like Chinese people. It's just saying where it came from.
Yeah.
So, I just think it's one of those things where people are looking to find a racist something in President Trump, and here we are again. But hey, so I had another question for you. So kind of shifting gears for a minute. So obviously, with the coronavirus, we're all locked down, in California especially. I'm not sure where I'm at this time, at the time this is airing or whatever. Who knows? By that time, maybe the entire country is going to be locked down. I think New York Mayor, is it Bill de Blasio? Is that his name? Or no?
Yes.
Cuomo. Is it Cuomo or something like that? Whatever the guy's name is. You have to fact check that later.
I know.
I think he called for an entire shutdown of even essential services. I think that happened today.
Bill de Blasio.
Is it de Blasio? Okay, cool. So, well, anyway, so by the time we're, this is coming out, we'll probably all be locked down. So my question now is, I wonder if the church and many churches have shifted their view of online, because I know in a lot of the circles that I've been a part of, that online church has been viewed as something that's kind of you don't need it. It's an added thing. It's kind of like it's like certain a tool that we don't really need. I'm wondering how this is really going to change church going forward, and then what happens to online church once the coronavirus is gone, right? So in a year from now, when we have a vaccine and no one's afraid of the coronavirus and the economy's back, what's online church going to look like? Do you think that people are going to be more, how am I trying to say, like, are they going to be more apt to like use online, number one, as a church? And then are people going to be more comfortable not going to church because they can just engage online? Like, I've been talking to a lot of elders, and a lot of elders, interestingly enough, and they're like, man, this is awesome. Like, it feels like we're there. So I'm wondering, like, what do you think the impact's going to be of online church, post coronavirus era?
Well, let me look right here. Let me see Hebrews 10:25. Let
Can't use the Bible. That's cheating.
I don't know. Well, listen. Not Hebrews 10:25 reads, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much more as ye see the day approaching. Number one, we can never substitute. Nothing can take the place of coming together physically in one place in worship and in the word, exhorting. The very part of the foundation of the church is us gathering together in one mind and one accord and one belief, exalting one God in one place. So I think online church has always been for those who couldn't get to church, for the older who were kind of shut in, for those who were maybe out of the country, out of the state, and I want to follow. Online church, I think, was intended, nor should be intended, for us to make it like, okay, well, let me have home church now. Kind of these televangelists. I think it is a tool. I think it's a way to get the word message out, but online church it serves a function for us to continue to kind of congregate and get the word in this kind of drastic times. But I think that the online church right now is let's think about it now. Like, we can't meet. You can't more than 10 people meet in a place.
Well, right now we can't meet at all. We can't even we're not supposed to be leaving our houses except for like the grocery store.
Yeah. So we got to think about, the spiritual needs of the people, of ourselves. Like, how do we get that, And I think as a ministry, ministries are being faced with, like you said, challenges. Like, how do we still connect with our people? How do we still create the atmosphere and culture that we've had? And they've had to turn online churches because it should never take the place of gathering together, but it should definitely be something that is a tool to use to reach more people, even a part of evangelists. And for crazy random times like this that you can't meet in a building, but 2020, hey, let's all tune in to a live broadcast of your pastor or a minister and still receive the word of God, have a level of worship, experience,
Yeah.
and continue building your faith. I mean, we can't just take a break, while there's time. We can't just like hide away. So I think churches who have jumped on it and made online church a priority are really considering the saints of their church, the spiritual condition of them, because we can't just like not have church anymore.
Yeah. I mean, so I tend to agree with you. I do think, however, that there are situations where the online church is, in fact, I would say, more effective than an in-person church. In fact, I'm seeing fruit of it just this week, and maybe maybe you don't, maybe you're not seeing it as much as I am. Maybe I'm being a little bit too optimistic or something, but I see that, at least at our church, our pastors are becoming more engaged in people's lives because they realize that there is a huge void missing, mainly people in the church. And so what I see now is hey, we got to call people. We got to touch like bases with them. We need to, video chat we need to create content. We need to get devotionals. And I'm like, that's not a bad thing. Like, that's awesome. Like, I'm wondering if we're actually becoming more effective now that we're an online church than we were when we were only in church. You know what I mean? So the
Yeah.
overcompensation of discipleship, I'm wondering if this is something that is just going to die away, like die off, like, oh, we're back, everyone's good now, or are we going to be just as intense in our discipleship, reaching out, connecting with people, ensuring, I feel
Yeah.
like so much, I spend so much time reaching for, like, not just lost souls in the world and, new believers and struggling saints, but I feel like right now I'm reaching for everybody struggling and solid
Yeah.
alike. And it's like, man, that's really the way I think we should be pastoring, and like that should be our mission. So it's almost like, man, I wonder if we're more effective, more productive, more efficient.
I, I,
I just
yeah.
had a staff meeting with my 20 staffers, and it was the most productive and efficient staff meeting we've ever had. And it was over video, and it's
Yeah.
like, wow, maybe we should be rethinking some of these things. So just a thought.
No, I think times like this, it pushes you, it forces you to think outside the box, outside of your comfort. I mean, if the comfort is, again, not saying takes the place of, I see these people every week. The thing is that, like, when people show up to church, you kind of get a verbal. I mean, you see them, you mentally know, okay, they're here, and that's about it. You kind of see them. What is forced us to do is you don't see them, so you have to, like you said, call them. You have to make an effort to be intentional. I think times like this, I see what I believe what God is doing is we rise up to the occasion, and it's not like when things, let's say go back to normal, because it won't go back to normal in a sense. It won't be the same. I mean, we're going to approach and think about things differently after this whole thing. But when things kind of level out, you could say when the dust settles from all this,
Yeah.
we should be at a better place with more wisdom, more understanding, more approach, more skill, more experience in our belt, to where we've kind of, I'm trying to find the words here, but kind of we've opened up, we've kind of become more dynamic,
Yeah.
in what we do. So it should be that when we go back to the traditional Sundays and Wednesdays and Bible studies and that we should be adding this on top of it as well, because we had a season to where we didn't have, I'm a youth pastor, and we didn't have our normal scheduled youth group. Okay, we didn't have any youth group on. We met Wednesday nights, and so we had this big time to where the whole church came together in one big service for quite a while. So we weren't having the weekly meetups with our students. We weren't having business as usual. What did that force us to do? It forced us to be more active in small groups, making sure that we had a small group, more active in phone calls, more active in face-to-face interaction when we did see them, be more active in those opposed to, so we're getting a breakdown of a comfort zone in a big way. And so I think that after this is done, we should take what we've gained and learned and done in this time, and then use that also along with the traditional. I think they should just add on to what we do as a church and our dynamic and as a leader, not just leader but saints, but push it to that next level and keep us there. Not for us to be like, okay, this is good, let's revert back, because despite people saying this is the plague, this is God's wrath, I don't believe that. But I do believe God is shaking up his people to go beyond what they've been comfortable with. I think it's definitely a big wake-up call for all of us.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Hey, well, that's all I got for today, man.
That's it. Trump's not a racist.
Brother Trump.
Brother Trump is not a racist.
Can we lose? Can I lose my nonprofit status if I call him Brother Trump? Brother Trump and Mr. Biden. Is that?
It depends who's processing the paperwork. No, man, it's good, man. It's definitely interesting time. We're I don't know. Let me ask this: do you think we're at a peak yet, or is it going to get worse?
At this point, when we're recording it, we're today. I mean, I think it's getting worse. We're going to see a little bit of a peak still. I think they're still testing people. They really. I mean, the CDC. I don't want to bash on people that I don't like. I'm not a scientist or anything, but from what I can see in the news, they really didn't have proper testing available soon enough. So that kind of put us behind the eight ball. I think that's really where a lot of the fear is coming from. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Donald Trump was downplaying the virus." I don't think he was downplaying the virus. I think he was trying to buy himself time because they just didn't know anything. And he was on. I think he was trying to save the stock market, but because it was going to be destroyed, and it was. But I think it's going to get. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. But I think we're going to be okay. And I think that there's nothing to be afraid of, in terms of, us getting sick. I think it's going to be all right.
Well, the White House press conference this morning, indicated that not just CDC, but even some private enterprises are doing massive testing right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this morning. So from last they reported, they have been testing and they're doing more. They don't want everybody to test. They don't want every single American to test. They only come and test if you're showing symptoms of it.
Right. And that's kind of weird too, right? So like they're doing better now. And that's what happened over the weekend. Donald Trump over the weekend they brought in all those private companies and people. Before though, a week or 2 weeks ago, when they were rolling out, the CDC said they had a test that worked. It really didn't work. And so there was a lot of controversy. They started ramping that up. But interestingly enough, I did see an article that was suggested that there might be some inequality in who's getting tested. Like I'm finding it fascinating that like a lot of celebrities and NBA players and a lot of rich people are getting tested, and yet I wonder I wonder how they're really testing people. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying
they don't pay for their own testing though.
No, but I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like if a famous dude comes in and says, "Hey, want to get a test?" You know what I mean? Like,
he said, I don't think they're rejecting people to get tested. They're saying, listen, like, don't. It's not like a massive. Everybody in the U.S. go get tested right now.
Yeah, it's true.
I guess if you want to get, he said, if you have the symptoms, come get tested. So I think anybody can get tested for it. It's not it's not a mandatory thing.
Yeah.
So I mean I have to look into it, but I think they're just like going out there to get tested. I think right now, if you wanted to, you can go get a test right now.
Well, Gavin Newsom said he thinks half of California is going to get it.
So I mean, so
that's what he says.
The thing is, I think what they're saying. I think we will get a kind. I don't have the science in front of me, but the coronavirus, that may be the name, but there's a lot of viruses that come out that are in that family group. I think but basically,
my PhD is not going to be in medicine, so I have no idea.
No, I know. Will you be a doctor or something? So does this look infected? So, but I think a lot of people have it, but they're not having the aggressive symptoms as an elderly person would, or a person with underlying health issues. So I've been under the weather. I may have had it. Who knows?
You may have it right now.
I may have it right now. Come on over.
This might be the last podcast right here.
This might be it. So it's like the flu or the cold. The flu it spreads. I think everybody who has the sniffles or under the weather could very well have the coronavirus, but we don't. But the symptoms aren't the same, or like I said, as aggressive as someone who already has these health issues.
Yeah, but God's in control, and I think that's the message the church needs to reinforce, and just know that God's got it. It's all good. There's so many wonderful messages on YouTube of apostolic preachers, and they're all saying the same thing, man. God's in control. There's nothing to fear. Look to Him. It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. So
yes. Thank you.
All right. I think that's good. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. See you guys.